First off, I would like to thank the King family, the King Center, and the Ebenezer Baptist Church for welcoming me to this wonderful event of celebration, remembrance, and action. I have had the privilege of growing up in the beautiful District 5 that is the epicenter of civil rights history and was the epicenter of the civil rights movement. I have grown up with the Honorable John Lewis as my representative, a man who marched alongside Dr. King, a man who was the youngest speaker at the March on Washington, and I've had the privilege to learn so much about the life and legacy of Dr. King. I've heard stories from my mom about how my late grandfather got to meet Dr. King on multiple occasions. I've had the privilege of talking to a man who drove Dr. King and was a friend of the King family, and I heard stories from him about Dr. King. And we are here today not only to celebrate Dr. King, a wonderful man, father, husband and son, and a wonderful leader of the civil rights movement, but we're also here because there's more to be done. The movement for equality is not over, and we must remember to fight for equality every day, each and every one of us, as Dr. King did. And with that in mind, I will be reciting a poem that I wrote called Rise Up. Let's rise up. Let's rise up with those overlooked and undervalued by society. The black man who walks down the street on the way to his job, it's his first day as an 8th grade English teacher. The same black man who has a son, his most prized possession, who told that son that life will be hard, but anything is possible. The black man who walks down the street on the way to his job, only to pass a woman clutching her purse a little too tightly. Let's rise up with the boy who was a girl, then didn't know what he was, and is now a boy. The boy with the parents who loved their daughter, but disowned their son. Let's rise up with the Muslim woman who works for the Justice Department only to experience injustice every time she wears a hijab. Let's rise up and lend a hand to the boy who can't, the boy who sits in a wheelchair watching the other kids play basketball, the boy who becomes the only one in his class to win an Olympic gold medal. Let's rise up with the woman who was born in the U.S., whose parents are Dominican, and whose son is all-American, so why is she repeatedly told to go back to Mexico? Let's even rise up with the poor white boy, the one who is told he is privileged but doesn't feel that way, and yes, this boy does exist. The boy who talks about the pool his family doesn't have and wears the shoes his mother can't afford. He was given everything right, so it must be his fault, right? Wrong, because as one YouTube commenter said, life can be hard if you're white, but life will never be hard because you are white. Let's rise up with a young Native American poet. She speaks wisdom, but no one listens. The poet who should be on this stage right now, the poet who instead has to hear a white boy speak for her. Let's rise up. Because once we do, that glass ceiling will be in reach, and trust me, it is breakable. Once we do, we will be able to see over any wall, no matter who pays for it. Once we do, the sky will truly be the limit. Scratch that, there will be no limit. Martin dreamed when it was time to dream.